For some people, weather is not something to flee. It's an opportunity for scientific study. Storm chasing can be unpredictable and dangerous. The ultimate prize is to observe the most concentrated form of weather energy, a tornado.
Stations in the area, they're getting into the high teens right now. But he said once they get into the 20s,
The Fighting Prairie Weather Dogs are a group of forecasters who chase thunderstorms in their off hours. John Parker and Pat McCarthy are severe weather forecasters in Winnipeg. For John, it's not simply thrill-seeking.
I think it's important for people to do these. It's field study. It's do this work, experiments out in nature and get to see it develop and get to understand its power as it's moving through. I mean, experiencing a gust front of 100 kilometers an hour pass by you is, yeah, it's exhilarating.
Storm chasing is important science. It has also become a hobby for amateurs, especially in the United States. Occasionally, chasers get more action than they bargained for.
Okay, hold on, wait a second. Slow down. Yeah, RFD, big time. Watch out for spin-ups. We're gonna be picked up. Go face the wind, face the wind, face the wind, back it up.
These are probably 5-inch hailstones hitting this car right now. Ah! Ah!
Safety is our #1 priority when we're chasing. You travel the speed limit, you stay off dirt roads because if a large thunderstorm had gone through, there could be a washout. They're not very stable. You don't chase at night because of the visibility, and you want to stay out of the treed areas because of the visibility as well. You want to be able to see a lot of prairie, basically, and that's why it's really good to chase out here.
Violent thunderstorms develop in the heat of spring and summer. The heat quickly draws large amounts of water vapor into the air. This animation shows the formation of a thunderstorm. As the cloud grows, it rises high into the atmosphere. Eventually, it hits a layer of cold air, the boundary between the troposphere and the stratosphere. Blocked from rising, the cloud spreads into an anvil shape. This cloud is a cirrus anvil. At this stage, it's not a violent storm. Forecasters can see the anvil develop into a more violent form of thunderstorm on their satellite monitors.
We're seeing a very mature system actually at the beginning of the picture with a very large cirrus anvil. That's the top of a thunderstorm once it hits the tropopause and spreads out. And what we're watching closely actually is this, what's called cloud top penetration. It's a violent thunderstorm that moves into the next layer of the atmosphere with its strong vertical velocities, and it pokes into that next layer that's called the stratosphere. And that cloud top penetration or overshooting tops that we see on a satellite image indicates to us that the updrafts are significant enough that there's a potential for severe weather underneath.
When the clouds break through, enormous energy is released. When the right conditions develop, the Fighting Prairie Weather Dogs take to the road.
It starts usually the day before. We identify a location that we think is going to be prime for potential severe thunderstorm development. So we sort of put ourselves on alert, and then the next morning we'd either come into the weather center or call the weather center and then determine just where we're going to go. And if it's going to be still a prime day, then we want to head out early because we want to be there before they start happening, because you don't want to start chasing it once it's already gone.
The chasers use cell phones and mobile computer technology to communicate with their forecasting office. The car is a meteorological lab on wheels.
When we're traveling to our location, what we want to do is we want to ground truth ourselves sort of all the way. So we want to take measurements of humidity, wind speed, temperature, take an observation of the clouds, and we record that in our books and we report it back to the office as well, because they can plug that into their models. There's soundings of the atmosphere we take, and that shows us the structure of the atmosphere, and it's that lowest part of the atmosphere that we really want to get a lot of detail with. And by us taking measurements along the way, we can add that detail and see how the storms are going to develop throughout the day.
20 dew point.
Oh, that's what we're looking for.
Yeah.
This circular rotating cloud formation is called a wall cloud. It's the structure in a storm that can produce a tornado. A thunderstorm is an immensely complex structure of swirling winds and water. Mathematical models show some of the forces, but scientists do not fully understand how the storms work. Chasers want to maneuver into a position beside the storm. This is where the wall cloud could form and a tornado descend. Tornadoes produce winds measured in hundreds of kilometers per hour because swirling air moves much faster than air traveling in a straight line.
When a tornado forms, the classic tornadoes have sort of southerly low-level winds and then crossing upper-level winds coming in from the southwest, west, or northwest, and that creates a tendency when the cloud develops to sort of turn with the wind directions as it goes through the atmosphere. And then very important is something called horizontal vorticity. Like when the southerly winds are coming up, they're just not flowing straight along, they're coming in sort of a corkscrew. And they get captured in the updraft of the cloud, and as they get captured and drawn into the updraft of the cloud, that low-level vorticity sort of then becomes vertical. And if all the right parameters are in place, then that could turn into the wall cloud, which then could turn into the tornado.
It's starting to, I don't know, broaden up.
I would tend to think it's on the ground.
Matt thinks it's on the ground. It sure has a...
Only a small fraction of thunderstorms actually produce tornadoes. Some people chase storms for years and never see a funnel cloud.
It's right there, it's right there. It's right there. Yeah, get right around here.
In the south-central United States, tornadoes are much more common and usually much more powerful.
We're very close. Very close.
On occasion, the things in the upper atmosphere line up and stay lined up with the low-level moisture, the low-level jet, the mid-level jet, and everything's just perfect for an extended time period. And out here in the prairies, we can get some significant tornadoes.
Though they are currently relatively rare in Canada, climate change may make these storms more common and more powerful. The damage that a large tornado can produce in only a few seconds is almost unimaginable.
Increase of extreme weather is consistent with the global warming climate change theories, and basically what happens is with global warming there's going to be an increase in heat, and that increase in heat is going to increase evaporation, and it's moisture, particularly low-level moisture, that feeds these thunderstorms.
Join the Army if you want to be airborne. It's safer jumping out of airplanes than it is in a twister. Yeah.
Even small tornadoes can generate enormous forces. The tornado Bob Howard and Ken Osborne survived was relatively weak. It was rated as an F2 with winds of 300 kilometers per hour.
Pick up a 28 by 32 foot story-and-a-half building. I believe when the weather people say close to 200 miles an hour, and just to peel that thing off here, like, just fantastic.
I often think of all the things in that cottage that could have hit you. There was 2 huge wood stoves, 1/4-inch steel, several 100 pounds each, 2 fridges, a kitchen stove. Any of those could have hit you on the head and you'd be finished.
And my brand new hot water heater.
Brand new hot water heater.
Severe weather means a busy time for David Phillips. He feels there is a fascination with weather because it is far beyond human control.
And weather is so powerful and so awesome in terms of the energy and the impact. It's not just meteorologists who stand at the window and rub their hands as a thunderstorm is bearing down on them. I mean, that's one of the necessary ingredients for being, I suppose, a good meteorologist. But even the general public, the people who weather is just something that they're influenced by it. I mean, that they have a fascination by extreme weather because it is so powerful.
Weather existed on the planet long before the appearance of life, and the dragons of chaos will continue to bubble and swirl in the atmosphere as long as there is a sun and earth.